Hey everyone. So, before I begin with the story, I want to say sorry for my absence again. Some personal stuff has been keeping me from recording. And also, I need to make a disclaimer. First off, this video is not for kids. The story I'm about to tell is one of trauma, themes that are not suitable for little kids. It's just, this story is a very dark, intense story, not suitable for little kids. And if you're bothered by any of the following, I would not watch this video. As I've already said, trauma. Do not watch or rather listen to this video if the idea of trauma bothers you. Family feuds, or just honestly violence. These are things that are going to be very prevalent in the story. So, if any of these bother you, sign off now. I also want to say, this story is an origin story, so it's not going to be as exciting as a later story would be. I have to set it up first. And I think that's all I need to say, so let's get on with the story. Oh, right. I write from a first-person perspective. It's what I'm good at. So this is being told from the character's point of view. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Hearth the Wolf. Episode 1, Origins. My name is Hearth the Wolf, and this is my story. My life started on Mobius, home planet of the famous Sonic the Hedgehog. But while my mother was a kind and caring Mobian, good with kids, a teacher, a just and caring woman, my father, on the other hand, was a vile, blood-driven monster, the king of a race called the Beastborn. The Beastborn only had one goal. Driven by bloodlust, they invade worlds to kill. You hear the phrase opposites attract. This was never more true than my parents. I don't know what my mother saw in him. I didn't really understand most of it. I was only 5 at the time. But one day, I heard them arguing. I overheard my name, which was Dreadfang at the time. Not yet Hearth. My name was forced by my father at birth. All I know is they were arguing about what they wanted for me. My mother wanted a bright future for me, surrounded by friends and loved ones. My father, however, basically wanted to turn me into a weapon, to break me of morality. The argument turned to violence. My blood father snapped. He saw me, then smiled as he killed my mother in cold blood and took me with him. When I saw what he had planned for me, to watch as the rest of his beastborn invaded and killed so many innocent people, I made a vow to myself. I will get stronger. I will learn to use my power, and when I do, I hereby solemnly vow to destroy my so-called father, so he can never hurt anyone ever again. 20 years later, I had finally learned to use my power, and there was much to do in order to stop my so-called father for good. It was time I returned to my home planet and find allies to help me destroy the Beastborn for good. Soon after I arrived on Mobius via portal, I encountered a thier, a powerful mage capable of viewing future events before they happen, and the potential within someone. They laid out a prophecy to me. One day, otherworldly forces will invade and threaten the very existence of our world. Mobius has but one hope. A young hedgehog named Fleetway Supersonic must join forces with the famous hero Sonic the Hedgehog and a mysterious ally from another world. I believe this mystery ally to be you, young wolf. I didn't waste time with questions. Mobius was in danger of destruction. I simply told the seer, I am here to wipe out these invaders and to kill their king. Then I was off to find this Fleetway guy. I found Fleetway, or who I guessed was Fleetway, sitting on the ground in a forest, with some kind of psychokinetic hedgehog levitating nearby. I probably should have been more cautious when I approached, but fortunately, I had found him. Who are you? My name is Dreadfang. Don't be alarmed. Please understand, my name is not from a place of love. I am here to destroy the invaders. Would you happen to be Fleetway Supersonic? Why should I trust you? You just showed up out of nowhere. Because I am the only one with knowledge of the enemies we are facing. So whether you like it or not, I'm afraid you don't have a choice. I understand you're young, I said, sliding down my staff to meet Fleetway at eye level. I understand you're afraid. I might betray you. But without my help, without my power and knowledge, I'm afraid you have no hope against these invaders. Fine, I guess there's no choice. Poor kid, I can see it in his eyes, the kind of life he's lived. It's almost like me, I thought to myself. Listen, Fleetway, you need to hear this. The life you've lived, cast out, hated, suffering at the hands of others, never able to make friends, always seen as the villain, all because of powers outside your control. None of us can control how we are born, Fleetway. I understand your past, because in a way, I am the same. Fleetway had grown suspicious of me after that. Can't say I blame him. He rose to his feet before speaking. How on Mobius do you know about my past? Oh, right. I let out a nervous chuckle. I don't know how to really explain it, but I guess I inherited some kind of empath power. I can read negative emotions and discern their roots. I don't really know why. An empath? Yes, basically an empath is able to read emotions and other such abilities, like a psychic can minds. Fleetway, I wish I had time to talk more. I also wish I could give you time to process all this. I know it's a lot to take in, but your world is at stake. You're right, but what do we do next? I need to teach you about the enemies we are facing and how to beat them. So I explained to Fleetway as fast as I could about the different types of Beastborn, the drones, berserkers, side troops, etc. We are out of time, Fleetway. The king is ordering the final assault. They are done sizing up your world. We must meet their forces in battle and destroy the king for good. Then you all get your normal lives back. You can count us in. We heard a voice coming from beyond the trees. Fleetway seemed to know who. Out of the trees, a small group appeared. I recognized a couple of them, the famous hero of Mobius, Sonic, and his friend and sidekick Tails. Well, Fleetway, you've proved you're on our side. The other day, when you ran into battle against those monsters. Glad I showed up when I did. Sonic, why are you praising him? He tried to kill you and... Amy, would you calm down? The past is in the past. Or did you forget he fought those monsters for the sake of our world? That makes him one of us, as far as I'm concerned. You don't really believe... I finally cut in and had to explain to this Amy person the severity of the situation. Listen to me now, ma'am. Your world hangs in the balance. We don't have time for this. If you want to save Mobius, we need to hurry. They fell silent. I assumed they had realized the reality of the situation. Let's get going already. I led the group to the site of the final battle. On the way, Sonic explained the rest of the group's abilities and scales. Knuckles is the echidna. He has immense strength to the point he can tear through just about anything with his fists. Amy here has a massive hammer and knows how to use it. Tails, my best buddy here, can fly at speeds rivaling my own, and is a master engineer. Mr. Grumplord there is Shadow. He has chaos powers and uses special shoes to fake my speed. Whatever, we all know you're the true faker, Sonic. Not now, Grumplord. Stop calling me that. Everyone, get ready. We are here. They could come through the portal any second. Prepare for battle. Shortly after, an entire army of Beastborn emerged from the massive blood-red portal. Dreadfang, what do you think you're doing? You know your place. You're a Beastborn. Join your kind in battle. I responded to my father in an equally demanding voice. You're right, so-called father. I know my place. I am Mobian. My place is right here, fighting with my kind to kill you. The same monster that tortured me for years and tried to turn me into a weapon. You will die by my hand. With that, the fight began. The day had come to deliver penance to the monster that slaughtered trillions. A berserker started the fight by charging at us. Berserkers don't use tactics in battle. They just have a lot of brute force and are tough to bring down. Remember everyone, berserkers have strong hides. You will not cut or stab through them. Use blunt force to the head to drop them. Knuckles, that seems like your specialty. Right, I'll handle it. Sonic, those bug-looking things are called drones. They're kamikaze units. Use your speed to hit them quick and avoid the blast. Got it. While the rest of the group kept the Beastborn busy, me and Fleetway went right after the king. This won't end until he is dead. But got stopped by the trump card of the monsters, called the Juggernaut. Fleetway, I don't have time to explain this one. Just follow my lead. The Juggernaut is a wiry-haired behemoth, almost indestructible. But the hair covering its body makes it susceptible to fire and other heat-based attacks. Knowing we had to eliminate the Juggernaut quickly, I used my most powerful fire-based attack, Hell's Raging Flame. The Juggernaut was instantly engulfed in flame, and with the blast radius of the attack, what must have been 50 Beastborn also got incinerated. Fleetway caught on quickly to what its weakness was, and fired lasers from his eyes. I'd never seen a laser the size of these. The Juggernaut was incapacitated, but it would not last. Its life force is tied to the king himself. If the king dies, so does the Juggernaut. However, the Juggernaut itself can't be killed. This, above all else, is what makes that monster so deadly. Me and Fleetway continued to rush toward the king. As we did, the king readied his massive sword. Sonic was still pinballing off the heads of drones. Silver was levitating. That levitating hedgehog was still having a psychokinetic war with the teletroops. Knuckles had taken out what looked to be 10 berserkers already. Amy, I couldn't tell you who scares me more. Her destroying Beastborn like twigs? Or my own devil of a father? I'm just glad she's on our side. Dreadfang, this is your last chance. Join your true kind and stop this foolish blunter. I then spoke the final words I would ever say to that monster. You yourself called me the Hellfire Destroyer. I grow more powerful the more rage I have. You tortured me for 20 years, tried to break me of morality, killed my mother. I will use the rage within me to send you to the one true devil. As I said my piece, one last time to my father, my body began to change. My slick gray fur turned to a bright red. Claws grew from my hands and feet, slicing right through my combat boots. My eyes turned to a blue flame. This form I called Darkfang. When I get angry enough, my inner Beastborn blood starts to take control, and change my body into this. Over time, I learned to control this form, and now I would use it to destroy the most vile monster I ever had the displeasure to call a father. The king swung his massive sword, but I met the blade with my fist, shattering the giant weapon with a single strike. The fight wasn't nearly over yet. I threw a ball of hellfire at the monster. But he literally ate the fireball, then spat it right back. Both me and Fleetway dodged. So the fireball only hit the juggernaut. I then created a giant sword of fire and swung the massive blade of pure flame at the king. He tried to dodge, but wasn't fast enough, and got slashed across his torso. While the king was dazed, Fleetway fired his eye lasers and hit the king in the face. Once he recovered, the king picked up a mountain, ripping it away from the earth and hurled it like a toy. I didn't know if Fleetway was fast enough to dodge it. So using Darkfang's immense strength, I smashed the mountain of rock into tiny pebbles. The king had enough and created his own sword of fire. But before I knew what happened, a massive laser took his head off. Fleetway had delivered the final blow. The battle had ended. I guessed Fleetway fell to the ground from exhaustion. I no longer had control over Darkfang with the king dead, and my body returning to normal, I lost the ability to fly. I started falling as well. Silver caught us both with his psychokinesis, and we landed softly. The battle was over. The Mobian forces had won. And the only remaining being with Beastborn blood was me. Most of the group had left, likely going home to rest and recover, except for Fleetway and myself. As I had guessed, Fleetway was exhausted. He was awake, but taking deep breaths and laying still. I sat with Fleetway to keep him company. After all, I had nowhere to go, no family, no home, and was alone. Shortly after, a figure appeared from the trees. As they approached, I recognized who. It was the thier. The thier stalked in front of me and lowered their hood, revealing a black-furred cat. "Hello, dear wolf. I thank you for helping my son and the others save our world. I'm Ebony. Super here is my adopted son." "Hello there, ma'am. I'm glad to see he has someone he can turn to. I'm an empath. I have the ability to see negative emotions and see the roots of that feeling. I've seen what he has endured, and I understand what all that is like. I also believe this is why my emotions and intent affect my powers, like how rage gives me hellfire abilities. Would your name happen to be Dreadfang, young wolf?" I was hesitant to answer. I didn't know how she knew, but clearly didn't know through the king, so it had to be my mother. "How did you know?" "I knew your mother. We were friends. And she was also the only Mobian willing to teach Super. Because no education system would accept him. They were all afraid." "Dreadfang, may I ask you something?" "Sure, go ahead." "Do you have anywhere to go? A home? Any family?" "I'm afraid not. The only home I ever knew was with my mother. The realm of Beastborn was more of a prison. My only family was my mother and that thing. Oh dear. Well, you suffered so much already. You never did have much of a childhood. So why don't you come live with us? Ma'am, thank you, but that would not be fair to hear of me. Fleetway is also part of your family. He deserves a say as well. You're absolutely right. Super dear? My answer is yes. I accept this wolf as my brother. Not only did he prove himself trustworthy by helping us save Mobius, but he's no different from me. He deserves a family. Well said, Super. Young wolf, welcome to our family. Just one thing first. The name Dreadfang doesn't fit you and is associated with trauma. It should die with the invaders. It's only fair we give you a new name. And I can't think of a better one than your mother's intended name, Hearth. What do you say? My intended name, you say? If it's the name my mother intended, it's perfect. I still hold her in my heart. She was always good to me. I accept, ma'am. Then from this day forward, you shall be Hearth the Wolf. I shall be your mother, and Super will be your brother. And that's how my story started. How I got my true name, a caring family, somewhere I belong, somewhere I can call home.